Okay, so this is sort of a continuation of what we did with the colored blocks. I hope some of you did the colored blocks. I've got a feeling I didn't see any of them come up on the internet, so I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious that a lot of you didn't do them, which I think is a mistake. I think that's a valuable thing to do. So the objective here, and it's actually easier with this lighthouse because it's so light colored, but the objective here is to get this shadow area, to get these shadow areas where the value is believable and where, pretty much like what you see in the picture, and where the color shift is believable. And that's the big deal. That's the thing I've been trying to make a point of, is getting the color right in this area and getting it shadowed at the same time. And it just requires a little extra color and a little extra thought. All right, so I'm looking at this and I kind of see a little bit of a glow, like maybe it's evening. And, you know, there's a bit of a sunset going on out here, and the sunset colors are reflected in the highlights here just a little bit. That's what I think I'm seeing. So whether that's factual or not, that's how I'm going to paint it. So I've got some new gamboge here. And a little bit of course, Quin Coral, because we all know I live for Quin Coral. And these are nice transparent colors that give you that nice glow. So let's put them together. Well, that's too yellow. Let's put a little of that over here. We'll just keep messing with it until we get something that's, they're getting closer and closer together as I move them back and forth. That might be about right if it was watered way, way down. Way, way down. Way, 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 way down. Okay, so let's just see. Well, you know what, because this is not something I'm going to even put up on my fridge. I'll just test it over here. That has about the look I want. So here's the thing. Anything that's white on here, oh, well, all of a sudden that seems darker than I thought. What are we going to do? Well, we're just going to add a little more water and spread it out a bit. Here we go. Because this is going to be your highlight color. We know it dries a little bit lighter. That's what I'm telling myself. It's all these little wood dicky-doos, whatever you call them. Charlie will let me know what to call them. And y'all all know Charlie. He's our resident, he's our go-to guy for architecture. He's an architect. Got that kind of up and out of place there. Well, I'm still a little concerned that maybe that's a little strong. Let's just pull it up just a little bit. So just squeeze out the brush and pull up a little bit of color there. There, that's quite nice. Now, I could go ahead and put that color down here, too, on these, see these support blocks. Okay. Let's just put some of that down here while we're at it. Oh, that's wrong. See, the other thing is to pay enough attention to your subject that you know where everything is. So you're going to watch me make all the mistakes, so then you don't have to, right? Okay. So there we go. Now I would love to just go ahead and put the sky in without drying it. I would so love to do that. But I don't think I will. I think I'll dry it. Well, that's a little dark, but it's pretty, so we're going with it. I could lift it a little bit, but I don't think I will. So I think I'll get some cerulean here. And we'll go ahead and put in a little sky. So the first thing is to get, we've got sort of like blue clouds. So we can do those at the very last. Right now we just need some sky in. I wonder what all this is. It's bluer along down here than it is up higher. I guess that's evening coming on. I don't know how that works. Okay, let's see. Does it show up? Well, okay. So we'll just put some blue in, because usually you don't get it as blue down along the horizon. But I'm not a landscape painter, so I'm not always on top of this. So here we go, and I could leave a few skips in there. Let's leave this really wet. Doesn't matter whether I paint over that part or not. And let's go back and pick up a little bit of our other color and let it push the blue. Well, I don't know if it's pushing the blue enough to suit me. I'll tell you what, let's blot. There. There. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Let's put a little of that color down this way, because that could stand to be dulled just a little bit. And even this up here could be a little thinner. I tell you what, let's add the other color in here ahead of time. And then we'll pull the blue around so it's wet into wet. Whoa, that's a little strong. And what do I do if it's too strong? I just blot my brush, and my brush will pull up the extra paint, because I have a thirsting natural hair brush. Well, partially natural hair. Okay, that's nice. So, this area down here is blue too. So I guess this is water. It's a lighthouse. Duh, I guess it is water. And this little area in between here and right there. Okay. There. Oh, and up here. Any place else? Okay, see, some of these places are going to get dark, and I don't care if there's a pale wash under them. It's really not going to matter. So we could play with these rocks, maybe start these rocks while this other's drying. And I'm just going to pull up a little bit of burnt umber. We're just getting a little bit of pale color in there. Does that show? Okay. So I'll just splash a little of this in here, and I'll stay far enough back that it doesn't run into my water. I could have worked for some texture there. I really didn't. I had wet down this Gertite. You know I love Gertite. So that'll give me a little bit of texture in here. Maybe I could get up a little closer to that edge. So I wonder what I should start putting in here. I think, because that's a gray, and I think I'm going to make that gray the same way I'm going to make the shadows back here. I'm going to use this color as a base. So when I was painting the rest of this, I could have painted this with it. I just wasn't thinking yet. That's going to help make my shadowed area there. Okay, so burnt umber does here fine. Cerulean, and the only other thing I've got is New Gamboge mixed with Quin Coral. Okay, time to dry. So all of this railing, by the way, and stuff, I'm going to do that with a black pen. There's no way I'm going to try to do that with a brush. I mean, I could, but I'm not. So now we need to start forming some shadows. And you'll notice, see, this area here is lighter and it's pinker. It's not quite as light as that. And that little shadow is like this one, but it's not quite as dark as that because it's got reflected light off of here. Well, whether to make those differences or not, I don't know. I want the picture to pop, and I'm not real concerned about that. Let's see, what should I do? Well, let's start out with this is my original mixture that went on the building. And I think I'll pull a little bit more of, this is a little redder over here. I think I'll put a little bit more of that in here. And I think I'll paint in some shadows. Some of it I might have to do with a smaller brush. I wish I had made this lighthouse larger. When I first did it, I didn't see, there are some really cool things in here that I didn't notice. I was mostly just looking at it as a box because because I was planning on demonstrating again this getting this color and value thing right. And now that I look at it, it's a little prettier than that. let's get some extra shadow going in here. I don't know what you call these things, these little corner braces. They're just really cute. I think I painted that wrong. Oh well. And let's get that color up under here because there's going to be in shadow. We'll make that fairly dark. Okay, so I'm going to make this whole area the same. And it doesn't matter if I get this down on these stairs. These stairs are going to be way darker. Okay, like that. Now we've got this area. And oops, there's another problem. This area is in between here and here. I'll just put this in a little thinner. And because this is wet, what I'm trying to do is not quite let them touch. Maybe it won't be noticeable. So there. Now, while that's working, let's see. What else can we do? Oh, we could come back and work on the rocks. So what I'd like to work on the rocks with, well, I'd like some brown with some blue in it. Some gray. Oh, looky here what I just already had on my palette. It's funny how those things work out. I'm not following the rocks that are in the picture exactly, but I am using them as inspiration. And I'm doing a fairly pale wash onto them. See, that'll begin to feel like rocks. You know, I don't think we're painting Christmas flowers this year. I know some of you will be shattered. Let me know what you'd like to be working on. This probably isn't dark enough to put in here. Oh no, that's not near dark enough. Well, I'll put it there anyway. Oh, okay. You know, right in here, this is extra dark. Why don't I paint that part in with this stuff? And maybe I won't make it quite as dark as in the picture. I might change my mind. I get to do that. Okay. So, if this is getting dry, I could take some burnt umber. You know, stronger burnt umber. That's really not the right color. Now, if I wanted to be accurate, what would I do about that? Well, I would do this, and I would add some raw sienna into this, I think. Let's try a little raw sienna. I think that's closer. It's not exactly wonderful. So let's put that in with our brown. Oops, more brown. I like a flat brush for things like this. Well, I like a flat brush for everything. Almost. Okay. And this is, oops. Actually, there's another thing back there. Because you're seeing it part of another pillar in there. And I don't know that it's necessary to show that. Okay, so let's dry this. Wait. See how much darker this is than this? I think that's better. Well, I better dry it first anyway. Tell you what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to strengthen some of this to be like that. But not this little thing right here. That's the only, that little triangle, that's the only place that I'm not going to strengthen this some. Now, I don't have to use much because it's nearly dark enough now. There's not that much difference. So it's going to go on the facing here, on the inside, everywhere except the triangle. Okay, and see, now that's looking pretty geometric. That's what we're looking for, is to just build it up. And just because I didn't have to do this way, but just because this is dry and that's certainly not dark enough, I'll just go ahead and add something in here right now. Just because I can. Okay, well, let's just pick up some burnt umber. Maybe shadow. Some bits of rocks. So they seem to be shaded on the right side of the rock, and I seem to have some shapes here that must be the rocks. I really didn't intend for those to be that, but I guess they are. I was just doing random color and stuff. But it seems to have worked out to be something else. So we'll go with it and see what we get. And if mine doesn't work out, then you can do something better. A lot of the time when y'all get these things and then you start playing with them and you come up with stuff that's better than what I did. And I won't say that I'm not pissed about it, but I get over it. It just feels kind of rocky. It feels like I don't want to walk on it barefoot. That's how it feels. You know, we could spatter that. I always get my hand in the way. I mean, why not a few spatters? I can't do a painting without spattering. So, why don't we put those clouds in? Oh. Okay, I'll just stick with cerulean because that's what I'm working with, and it's kind of what this looks like anyway. Well, it looks like muted cerulean, doesn't it? That's a little strong. Of course, it's a little dark too, but why don't we just put a little bit of this in it? That'll gray it just a little bit, and then we'll thin it down. And then we'll just start noodling around here. It's a little strong going on. There. There we go. Oh, that's nice, happy little clouds. Yuck. Bob Ross was a nice man, I'm sure. He took care of baby squirrels, so I approved of him. That I just don't want to paint like him. This looks a little more windswept over here. I would like for the cloud to come up behind. Oh, that's right. That's not going to be white. Darn it. Wouldn't look good there if that was going to be white. White, light peach, actually. This is a little too peach. And that's what you're thinking, too. You're looking at this and you're thinking, that's a peach-colored lighthouse. Ugh. Aren't you? That's what you're thinking. I know. I figure that's what you're thinking because basically I'm looking at it and that's what I'm thinking. Okay. Why don't we... I bet that's dry enough. Why don't we just take some of this, real pale like, and get rid of some of this peach color. Before everybody turns off the video. Still looks a little too peachy. I'm going to turn this way. And it looks like I'm working my brush a lot. It's just I'm doing small areas. So I'm being kind of careful. But this is very juicy. And we should darken that just a little bit. I'll see, I squeeze my brush out and I'll suck a little bit up so it's not quite as dark. You know, I did a little sketchbook version of this, which I decided not to put up, but it looked better than this. I think this is a little too peachy. Yeah, I think I've overdone it. There, that's changing it. Now, this area right here, we got to get it's a paler peach. We got to get a paler blue wash on it too. And again, I'm just staying away from that edge because I don't want to have to go dry it. I'm being lazy. I think it's turning pretty nicely. I wouldn't mind having just a little bit more color there. I think it's turning pretty nicely. Oh, but it's strange because it's sitting on this base that's not turning. So again, let's get more burnt umber out here and let's put some blue in it. Let's just see what that does. I don't know if that's it or not. Okay. This could have been less peachy. Let's face it, I screwed up. So when you put, maybe you should put your blues in here before you put any extra peach in. I over peached. Stairs are pretty much the right width for this brush, almost. Now we need a much darker gray. So let's just make our paint more concentrated. You know, I think it's hard to work from home. I do better with people. I miss people. I didn't know how much I liked humans till I didn't have y'all around. Okay. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot that this isn't dry. Time to dry. Is that on? Yep. Okay. So, there's a little, I'm going to make a little triangle in here. This is really, really soft light, but I'm going to exaggerate that. Let's pull up a little extra here. That wasn't a very good job. There's a little shadow comes back along here. Guess I could put that in. See, I got it up over my facing and everything. I didn't mean to do that. And I still don't have a square window here. Well, not square, you know, right angles. We'll just color the whole thing in again. I got 3 layers on there trying to get dark enough. Okay. Yeah, over peached. So this little spire up here, I'm going to put that on with a pen too. I mean, you could do it with a brush. You could do it with a rigger and you know, this is probably a little too controlled and too studied compared to what I would do if I was really good at this. Now that'll need some more black on it. This is like, I'm painting this like it's a dark gray. So the shadow side's going to have to get darker. Okay. You know, the other one I made this part brown. It could just as easily be dark gray or black. See, these steps aren't rich enough. I'll have to come back and do something about that. And that noise you're hearing, if you're hearing it, is not the sound of my brush. My brush isn't making that noise. That noise is coming from my finger rubbing against the down here as I'm steadying my brush. I'm telling you that because I make a big deal out of you shouldn't be able to hear your brush very often. That generally would mean you were working too dry. Okay. There. That's not dark. This little area right here could use just a little pale bit of shadow. You know what I did too? I went here and made that bluer than this out here. Well, if that isn't pathetic. So I could get it out of there. I could mask off with masking tape and do a little bit of lifting. But I'm not really going to bother with it on this project. So I think that this is where it's grayed down. The brown is not quite rich enough. And that's the very thing I'm trying to make this lesson about. So I guess I better fix it. Well, I'm just using a little bit of brown. Whoa. I said a little bit of brown. You know, this part looks grayer. This is really gray. So the answer to it all, too, is to gray these a little bit. So you see, I don't come straight to it and just do it. I have to mess with it some and adjust as I go. Yeah, I definitely need gray here. What else was I going to do? Oh, the pen work. Well, that has to be dry. And we've got some very distant trees over there. There's some bit of shoreline showing, but it looks blue. Maybe it's a little bit blue-green. I'll make it just a little bit more obvious than what it is in the photo. adds a little something to it, maybe. So, should the water be a little darker, a little bluer? Maybe we'll pick up just a little bit of ultramarine. That's too blue. Of course, it might be prettier like that. Pretty counts as long as it doesn't scream unbelievable. And then sometimes it can, and that's okay too. If you understand how to make things work, then you can usually recognize when it's okay to ignore it. But you need to understand it first. Okay, I'm going to dry it and do a couple more things. Hi again. All right. Well, you know what? Those shadows are very convincing for a pink building. For a white building, it didn't work. So that cast pink on the building, which is mostly from that direction, is too much over here. So this makes it look like the building is pink when it's really just a lighting thing, and therefore I shouldn't have done that. But you can see how if it was a pink building, that would be about right. So I hope you've learned from this. That's what I hope. Yeah. Okay, so let's put in some little extra bits of dark where some of these rocks are. You know, there's those little crevices between the rocks. I don't think that looks too convincing. I don't think that looks too convincing at all. There. Let's make it weaker. You know, you need a few places like that. I'm not going to do all of this. You get the idea there, right? And then, I was going to do this with a pen. I wonder what a pencil will look like on this. That might be better. I'll try it. So, I wanted, the top of this needs to get darker. Yeah, all that needs to get darker. So, there's a spire. So if you're using a pencil, you're going to get a rough edge here because the paper's got texture in it. Maybe don't make all these lines strong. This looks too mechanical here. I think it's better if some of this is a little less distinct. Some lost edges here. Something maybe like that. Oh, don't forget the birds. I haven't practiced birds. Maybe I should practice. Let's see. You just make a little thingy, right? Yeah, okay. These should be white birds because they ought to be gulls or something, right? So I've got them all flying directly towards us. So let's get this darker. Here's the thing. This, I should have left a highlight on that ball thing. because oh yeah, see, that does something for it. So this needs to go darker too. And the thing is, it doesn't need to go darker because it's darker on the lighthouse, on the real picture. It needs to go darker because this picture needs to pop. And it's not popping yet. And those little extra bits of dark will really help make the painting better. That's what these little bits of bird are for too. Get them a little darker. Is they make a tiny dark shape it just does something for the painting to have some tiny dark shapes in it too. Or some tiny shapes that stand out. They could be white, you know. Okay. There's that. Now we need a lot more shadow up underneath here. So what I'll try to do is just pick a little of that up and bleed it on down here. Because that's really what it is. There's just kind of a soft edged shadow coming down here. Oops. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm not going to think about this pink lighthouse as a mistake. I'm simply going to entitle this on the video, Pink Lighthouse. And then, well, that's just how it'll be. Oh yeah, remember, the other thing I was going to do was put a real pale wash of gray on this. So it's just really not coming together. It's really not the color in the picture. Not that it had to be the color in the picture. I mean, that's a white lighthouse in the picture. Let's just put a little bit of gray. On top of that. See, I didn't get the just right balance on this right off. You know, I believe that's the best pink lighthouse I've ever painted. Okay. Anything else? If you see anything else you think it needs, put it in yourself. It's just easier with a pencil. You know, I have lazy moments. Okay. Pink lighthouse, done. Hold it up. Yay.